So, before we get to breaking down the individual snipers, I want to talk about two things: the Soul Arcane and the 5.5 unique mods available to all snipers, and when or if you should use any of them. And since we're talking about mods, I think it would make sense to talk about building snipers in general. You see, sniper builds are all really similar. There's 3 mods that go on every sniper build, another that goes on every non-boss focused sniper build, 2 more that are elemental mods, and so of course you're going to want just to give you some damage, which means that the only choice there is which element to use and whether or not to use split status mods. So yeah, you really only start to get much variation in the last 2 or 3 mod slots, and so I want to talk about modding snipers here, rather than going over the same 3/4 of a build at least once for each sniper. And there's a couple of other reasons to give a build guide for snipers rather than just listing the builds themselves. As I said before, there's 2 mod slots left over, and to a pretty big degree, those slots are mostly just personal preference. Snipers do a ton of damage, and adding more raw power can occasionally be helpful, but once you've got the basic 6 mods in place, generally you will either be killing things in 1 or 2 shots, or hoping for Hunter Munitions to proc. And while there are some mods that are worth considering to enhance either your proc chance or your raw damage, there's also some options to increase your AoE killing potential, make your combo multiplier last longer or grow faster, increase your average kills per minute, and even a couple of mods that are so useful to a specific weapon that they should basically be considered as required, like with Lanka and Vial Acceleration. Furthermore, unless the game goes through some kind of major modding overhaul, chances are very good that all of the information here will still be usable with any snipers that come out in the future, and we are well past due for a new one. Then again, the last time they released a completely new sniper was with the basic Rubico, which was released all the way back with the second Dream patch, so yeah, maybe they've just decided to stop making snipers and will never release that infested sniper of my dreams. Anyways, that's why I'm going to spend a couple of episodes doing an overall build guide here, and will not be vocalizing the individual builds in the actual weapons videos themselves. I am going to be listing a set of suggested builds in each weapon video's description, but I don't really like saying that you need to play and build exactly like me, and I'm hoping that by giving a general guide here, I can both seriously cut down on repetition and help you if you want to customize each sniper to your individual preferences. Oh, now that that's covered, let's talk about those first 5 or 6 slots and the mods that will pretty much always be going in them. And we will start by going over the 3 most basic mods that go on every build: Serration, Split Chamber, and Point Strike. Serration and Split Chamber shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, they go on basically every primary weapon that is not a shotgun. As for Point Strike, all sniper rifles are crit weapons. Even the Volcar Wraith, which has fairly poor critical stats, is still going to want some crit, and so Point Strike goes on it. It doesn't matter which sniper we're talking about or what you're planning on using it against, these mods go on every single build and will likely continue to do this for any snipers released in the future. The only possible exception to this rule that I can think of is that if you run into some kind of amazing Riven mod that gives more of one of these stats than one of these mods do, you might want to slot it in instead, but even then chances are you'll be better suited by just using up one of the free slots instead of swapping out one of these mods for your Riven. Now, the next mod we need to talk about is Hunter Munitions, and it goes on every non-boss focused build. As said in the Status and Elements video, this is going to be your best weapon to use against high armored targets, and in general is just a great mod for regular gameplay. However, many bosses, including the Eidolons, are actually immune to bleeds, so against them, Hunter Munitions is absolutely worthless and will need to be replaced with something else. The rest of the time though, this is one of the best mods you can get, and it goes on every sniper. After that, you've got 2 slots that are going to be used for elemental damage, and here we finally have a tiny little bit of variety, but not a lot. There's really only 3 options for elements that I really think are worth picking, and they are gas, viral, and radiation. The first 2 are used for general play, and I personally prefer gas on the Vectis, Volcar, and Lanka, and viral on the Snipetron and Rubico, but you can play with these as you wish. Meanwhile, radiation damage goes on every sniper that you're going to take against the Eidolons, but beyond that purpose is generally not too impressive. As for the other damage types, I would personally suggest you avoid them. They either don't really help against anything meaningful, are worse variations of one of the better options, or don't synergize with snipers in general. As for whether you use split status mods or pure damage, there's again a bit of a choice here. While status is important, in normal combat you'll basically never need to land more than 3 shots before Hunter Munitions procs and kills your target regardless of its level. And Hunter Munitions damage is increased by the power of your weapon's individual bullets. While status chance is far from useless, Hunter Munitions slash procs are going to be your best status effect most of the time, especially against a single target. So while I personally do use split elements when using gas damage, as extra procs can double or more the damage in an area, when I am using viral, which gets its full effect from just one proc, I only use at most one split damage mod with it and combine that with prime cryo rounds so that I max out the damage as much as possible. However, that is just my personal choice in the matter, and I highly suggest you experiment here and decide for yourself what the right status damage ratio is for you. Anyways, that's it for the main 6 mods that will end up on the majority of sniper builds. Next episode will cover all of the optionals as well as the unique mods in the Soul Arcane tied to snipers, and I hope to see you there. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you learned anything, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Farewell.